You wake up, scroll through your phone, step outside, and believe you are seeing the world exactly as it is. But what if everything in front of you is not the absolute truth, but a perfect reflection of what lives inside you? Imagine the situations that frustrate you, the people who seem to drain your energy, the endless patterns that repeat no matter how hard you try to break them. You feel stuck, invisible, overlooked, or unlucky, and no matter how many times you change your job, your city, or even the people around you, the same feelings creep back in. This is not a coincidence. Your mind is not a neutral camera recording reality. It is a filter built from your beliefs, your emotional tone, and what you habitually focus on. A Harvard study found that the human brain processes only a fraction of the information it receives, and most of that fraction is chosen according to what your inner world tells it to look for. Think of a returning soldier walking the streets of New York, certain the world is dangerous. His eyes scan for threats, his ears catch only the sharp tones, the impatient honks, the hurried footsteps. Right beside him, his friends notice laughter spilling from a cafe, the smile of a stranger, the golden light reflecting on the windows. Two people, same street. Two realities. If your inner story says you are not enough, your mind will keep pulling proof that you are right. If your inner story says the world is cold, you will keep finding the chill. And so the frustration builds because changing the outside never fixes what is being projected from within. In this space, the question becomes urgent. If what you see is only a reflection, then the power to change what you experience does not start out there. It starts in the unseen lens through which you look. Right now, place your hand over your heart. Take a slow, deep breath and ask yourself with honesty, the world you are looking at today, is it truly the world, or is it simply your reflection? If reality is a mirror, how can you change the image it shows you? To change the mirror, you must change the filter, deciding what you see, and that filter has a name: the reticular activating system. A small network of neurons in your brainstem with a massive responsibility to choose what enters your awareness and what gets ignored. Every second, your senses are bombarded with millions of bits of data, but you consciously notice only a tiny fraction. And your RAS acts like a personal search engine, scanning through all of it and delivering only what matches the patterns it has been programmed to prioritize. This programming is not random. It is shaped by your repeated thoughts, your dominant emotional states, and your deeply held beliefs. If you believe you are overlooked, your RAS will highlight the moments you feel excluded and quietly skip over the times you are acknowledged. If you decide the world is hostile, your RAS will keep finding signs of danger while filtering out signs of safety. The most familiar example is the new car effect. When you decide you want a certain model and suddenly notice it on every street, every parking lot, every highway. Those cars were always there, but your brain never flagged them as important until your focus told it to. In Chicago, a marketing professional named Sarah lived with the belief that she was invisible in her workplace. Her RAS faithfully served that belief, amplifying every meeting where her name was not mentioned and discarding the compliments that did not fit her inner script. This invisible filter reinforced her frustration until she learned to change the question she asked herself. Instead of "Why does nobody notice me?" she began asking, "Where are the opportunities for me to contribute?" That subtle shift rewrote the RAS programming, and within months, began to notice projects that needed her skills, colleagues seeking her input, and leaders acknowledging her work. 6 months later, she earned a promotion that once felt impossible. Your RAS is not your enemy, but it will obey whatever command your focus gives it. When you tell it to look for what is wrong, it will find endless proof. When you direct it to notice what is good, what is useful, what is possible, it will find those as well. Right now, you can begin to alter your reality by adjusting this filter. And the first step is to consciously choose what you want it to search for. So take a deep breath and ask yourself with genuine curiosity, what good is around me that I have never noticed before? The answers may start small, but they will grow because your attention will make them grow. But how do you change the signal your RAS is tuned to receive? You change the RAS by changing the emotional frequency you broadcast. Because your feelings are not just private experiences, they are signals your brain listens to and uses to decide what to prioritize. Every emotional state carries a vibration, and that vibration shapes the lens through which you notice the world. When you are stressed or fearful, your mind narrows its search, scanning for threats and confirming reasons to stay on guard. When you are calm or grateful, your awareness expands, noticing possibilities and connections that were always present but previously ignored. Research from the HeartMath Institute has shown that positive emotional states increase the coherence between the heart and the brain, creating a physiological harmony that heightens perception and improves decision-making. This means your RAS is not just guided by thoughts, it is tuned by the energy your body and mind are radiating. In San Francisco, a business owner named Mark lost a major contract and spent months in a state of worry. His focus was locked on what could go wrong, and his emotional frequency kept his RAS searching for more evidence that his future was uncertain. Opportunities passed in front of him, but they were invisible because they did not match the signal he was sending. Then he began a simple practice, writing in a gratitude journal each morning before checking his phone or email. He listed 3 things, sometimes small, that he appreciated from the previous day. Within a week, his mood felt lighter, and after 2 weeks, during a casual conversation at a friend's gathering, he met a new partner who offered a collaboration that replaced the lost revenue and opened doors to new markets. The outer shift was not magic. It was the natural result of his RAS tuning into a different set of cues. When you choose your emotional frequency deliberately, you are giving your brain a command, telling it what to search for and what to let pass. The choice is not about pretending challenges do not exist. It is about deciding which vibration you will feed and which one you will starve. Right now, you can take a moment, breathe slowly, and step into the frequency your best self would project. Feel it in your chest, hear it in your inner voice. Let it set the tone for what your mind will look for next. You have the ability to choose your signal in this very moment, and when you do, you begin to change the entire map of what your RAS delivers to you. If emotional frequency is this important, what exactly shapes it in the first place? The frequency you carry is shaped by the beliefs you repeat every single day, and those beliefs act like the silent director of your life, quietly scripting how you feel, what you notice, and the choices you make. The most powerful and often limiting part of this truth is that many of your core beliefs were never consciously chosen. They were downloaded into you through family patterns, cultural expectations, education systems, and personal experiences, often before you were even aware you could question them. Over time, repetition makes these inherited ideas feel like facts. You live inside them without realizing they are not the ultimate truth, but simply familiar programs. Dr. Bruce Lipton's research in epigenetics revealed that environment and belief systems can directly influence gene expression, meaning the way you think and feel can literally change the biology of your body. This makes belief not just a mental concept, but a force that can alter your physical reality. In Texas, a woman named Lisa grew up believing she was terrible at math because of a single comment from a primary school teacher. That moment planted a seed that shaped her academic confidence for decades. Any time numbers appeared, her mind would shut down, her RAS filtering for proof that she was incapable. Years later, when her son struggled with his homework, she decided to relearn the material so she could guide him. To her surprise, she not only understood the concepts, but found joy in solving them. That belief she had carried for so long began to unravel, and within 2 years, she was teaching math online to students across the country. This transformation was not about suddenly becoming a different person. It was about removing a false lens that had been distorting her sense of self. Your beliefs form the blueprint of your perception, and until you question them, they will continue to filter what you see, hear, and experience. The simplest yet most transformative question you can ask is this: did I choose this belief? Or did someone else place it in me? Once you see that a belief is not an unchangeable truth, you create space for a new pattern to take its place. That space is where freedom begins. And in that freedom, you can align your frequency with who you truly are instead of who you were told to be. If you are ready to change what your life reflects, the path forward is to learn how to rewrite the beliefs that have been deeply embedded in your mind. So how do you actually replace a belief that has been running your life for years? You change a belief by changing the language you use when you speak to yourself. Because the words you repeat in your mind are not harmless background noise. They are the blueprint that shapes how you feel, what you expect, and how you act. Every statement you make internally becomes an instruction your nervous system follows, influencing your emotions, which in turn reinforce the belief and then drive your behavior. When you tell yourself, "I am a failure," your body responds with the heaviness of defeat. Your attention begins to scan for evidence that supports the statement. And your reticular activating system filters the world to confirm it. But when you replace that statement with "I am learning how to succeed," the entire chain of reaction shifts. Your emotional state becomes lighter. Your awareness begins to notice progress instead of only obstacles. And your actions align with growth rather than withdrawal. Dr. Andrew Newberg's research into neurotheology and the power of language has shown that positive words and affirmations can physically alter the neural pathways in the brain, making supportive inner dialogue a literal form of rewiring. This is why changing your self-talk is not a fluffy motivational exercise, but a concrete neurological intervention. In the United States, a former professional basketball player named John suffered a career-ending injury. For months, his inner voice repeated the sentence, "My career is over," and with each repetition, the belief became more rigid, the emotions more hopeless. Then he was introduced to neuro-linguistic programming, a method of shifting thought patterns through language. He began to replace the old phrase with "I am opening a new chapter." At first, it felt unnatural, but he committed to the practice daily, speaking it aloud in the mirror and writing it in a journal. Over time, this reframed language reshaped his identity. He started seeking opportunities outside of the court, accepted a small role as a sports analyst, and eventually became a nationally recognized commentator. His transformation began not with a sudden stroke of luck, but with the consistent choice to use words that aligned with the future he wanted rather than the past he feared. The mind believes what it hears most often, and you are the one deciding what it hears. Every time you speak to yourself, you are either reinforcing an old program or writing a new one. This is why awareness of your inner language is the first step, and intentional choice of words is the second. The next time you catch a self-criticism rising, pause and ask, does this sentence create the frequency I want to live in? If the answer is no, choose another set of words that lift you toward that desired state. Over time, this habit becomes a way of life, and your beliefs will follow the tone of your language. But if changing your self-talk can shift your beliefs, how can you make sure you keep speaking to yourself in an empowering way every single day until it becomes second nature? You maintain it through daily practice, like the Reframe Journal. Because without consistent reinforcement, even the most empowering inner language can fade back into the old patterns that feel familiar to your nervous system. The Reframe Journal is a simple yet powerful tool that helps you actively rewrite the stories you tell yourself, shifting your internal dialogue from limitation to possibility. Each night, before you sleep, you take just a few quiet minutes to capture 3 thoughts from your day that carried a negative charge. Whether it was a criticism you aimed at yourself, a judgment about a situation, or a fear about the future. You write these thoughts down exactly as they appeared in your mind, without softening them, because clarity comes from seeing the raw material you are working with. Then, in the next column, you choose to reframe each one into a sentence that honors the emotion but opens the door to empowerment. This is not about pretending something painful is positive. It is about guiding the meaning you assign to it. If the original thought was, "I will never be good at this project," you might reframe it as, "I am learning valuable skills through this project and each step improves my ability." If the original was, "I always make mistakes," you might reframe it as, "Every mistake I make is refining my understanding and preparing me for better results." Over time, this nightly practice changes the baseline tone of your inner voice, and the effect compounds. Studies on habit formation suggest that repeating a small, intentional action for 21 days can begin to create a new neural pathway. And each time you choose a reframe, you are literally teaching your brain to filter for different cues. In the United States, an IT professional named Emily lived in constant fear of losing her job. Her RAS faithfully amplified every small oversight, every neutral comment from her manager, interpreting them as proof she was not secure. When she began using a reframe journal, she committed to writing 3 entries every evening, no matter how tired she felt. At first, the reframe seemed forced, but by the 3rd week, she noticed herself thinking differently during the day. Instead of freezing in meetings, she began to offer suggestions. Instead of staying quiet, she volunteered to lead a new initiative. Within months, she was promoted, not because the workplace had radically changed, but because her perception and behavior had shifted to match a more empowered identity. This is the hidden power of the Reframe Journal. It trains your mind to seek possibility, even in situations that once triggered self-doubt. By making it a nightly ritual, you are planting seeds for the next day's focus, tuning your RAS too. Recognize opportunities and supportive evidence while you sleep. The repetition builds a stable foundation so that, over time, the reframed language becomes your default without effort. Tonight, you can begin this transformation. Take a pen, open a page, and write down 3 moments from today that carried tension or discouragement. Then reframe them with the voice of the version of you who already trusts themselves fully. As you close the journal, imagine those new sentences traveling into your subconscious, ready to color the lens you will look through tomorrow. When you wake, the filter will already be slightly different. Do this again the next night and the next. And soon you will notice the outer world shifting to reflect your new inner narrative. But the question remains, once you have this awareness and new way of thinking, how do you turn it into a natural way of living so it flows through you without having to consciously remember it? You turn awareness into a way of living when you embody that frequency every single day. Because knowing something in your mind is only the first step. The true transformation happens when your thoughts, words, and actions consistently reflect the upgraded version of yourself you have chosen to become. Embodiment is about alignment between your internal state and your outward expression. It means walking, speaking, making decisions, and interacting as the person who already holds the frequency you want to live in. This is not a performance or pretending to be someone you are not. It is allowing the new identity to inform every choice you make until it becomes natural. Science supports this shift. Research by social psychologist Amy Cuddy demonstrated that body posture can influence hormone levels and emotional states. Standing tall with open shoulders and direct eye contact can increase testosterone, which is linked to confidence, and decrease cortisol, which is associated with stress. This shows that physical expression is not just the result of how you feel, it can also shape how you feel, creating a feedback loop that reinforces your chosen frequency. In the United States, a software engineer named David wanted to become more confident in his workplace. For years, he kept his head down, avoided speaking up in meetings, and stayed in the background of projects. After learning about embodiment, he made a conscious decision to adjust his physical presence. He began standing straight, making deliberate eye contact when speaking, and using a steady, clear tone of voice. At first, it felt awkward, but he committed to the practice daily, even in casual settings. Within 2 months, something remarkable happened. Colleagues started seeking his input. He was invited to lead important projects, and managers began to view him as a natural leader. The external recognition was not the cause of his confidence. It was the effect of living in alignment with the upgraded version of himself. Embodiment works because it sends a constant signal to your brain and to your environment that this is who you are now. The more you live from this state, the more your reticular activating system filters the world through this lens, highlighting opportunities, connections, and feedback that match your new identity. To practice embodiment, begin each morning by asking, how would the version of me I am becoming move through today? Notice your posture, the tone you use in conversation, the speed and clarity of your decisions. Choose the smallest actions that align with this frequency, because consistency matters more than intensity. Over time, these repeated choices shift your baseline, and what once felt like effort becomes effortless. The beauty of embodiment is that it makes your transformation less dependent on motivation or perfect conditions. Even on challenging days, you can stand, breathe, and speak from the frequency you have chosen, and that choice will carry you forward. Right now, wherever you are, rise from your seat, open your chest, feel your feet firmly on the ground, and imagine yourself already being the person you have envisioned. Let that posture anchor the energy you want to radiate. Hold it long enough for your body and mind to agree that this is now your normal. This is how you make the shift permanent, not through force, but through living it until there is no separation between who you are inside and how you appear to the world. And yet, life will not always feel smooth. There will be moments when stress, fear, or external challenges try to pull you back into old patterns. The question is, when difficulties arise, how do you protect and sustain the frequency you have worked so hard to embody? You maintain your frequency by creating a pause before you respond, because that brief moment is the bridge between who you have been and who you are choosing to become. Without the pause, your brain defaults to well-rehearsed patterns, many of which were built from fear, defense, or past conditioning. With the pause, you interrupt that automatic script and give yourself the chance to consciously select a response that aligns with the version of you living in your chosen frequency. This is not about suppressing emotion or pretending you are unaffected. It is about directing the energy of the moment instead of letting it control you. 3 slow, intentional seconds of breathing can reset the chemistry in your body. When you inhale deeply, your heart rate begins to regulate cortisol. Levels start to drop, and oxygen flow to the brain increases, giving your prefrontal cortex the part responsible for decision-making space to engage. This physiological shift makes it far easier to choose a thoughtful action rather than a reactive one. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote that between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies our power to choose, and in our choice lies our growth and our freedom. Those words are more than philosophy. They are a map for living with intentionality. In the United States, a single mother named Karen experienced this transformation firsthand. Exhausted from work and overwhelmed by responsibility, she would often raise her voice at her young son when he resisted bedtime or made a mess. The more it happened, the more guilt she carried, and the more their bonds strained. After learning the concept of the 3-second pause, she committed to trying it. The next time she felt irritation rise, she inhaled slowly, counted to 3, And instead of snapping, she asked, "What do you need right now?" Her son's surprised expression softened into trust, and he told her he was scared of sleeping alone. That small pause opened a door to understanding, and their connection grew stronger. Over weeks, the habit became natural, and their home felt calmer. The pause is a discipline, and like any skill, it grows stronger with practice. You can begin in simple moments before sending an email, before answering a challenging question, before reacting to a tone of voice. Each time you pause, you affirm your authority over your state. Your reticular activating system will start to notice cues that support this self-control, and your nervous system will adapt to the rhythm of thoughtful response. Over time, you will find that situations that once triggered you intensely no longer have the same power because the old neural pathways are no longer being reinforced. The beauty of the pause is that it not only protects your frequency, it also changes how others experience you. People sense the difference between a reactive presence and a grounded one, and they respond accordingly. The energy you hold in those 3 seconds radiates outward, shaping the tone of the interaction and often influencing the outcome. Imagine how your relationships, career, and daily life would shift if every key moment was filtered through the power of this pause. Right? Now you can test it. Think of a recent moment where you reacted quickly and wished you had responded differently. Picture that scene again, but insert the pause, see yourself breathing, feeling your shoulders drop, and then speaking from the calm center of your chosen frequency. The scene plays out differently because you showed up differently. This is not a one-time technique, but a way of being that can carry you through even the most challenging environments without losing your alignment. The next time you feel that surge of heat in your chest, that tightening in your jaw, that urge to rush into words, remember that 3 seconds can alter the trajectory of your next hour, your next relationship, even your next chapter. Breathe, pause, and then proceed. You will witness how often the moment shifts in your favor simply because you gave yourself that window to choose. Yet this brings us to an even more intriguing possibility. If a pause can transform your personal experience, could it also change the way the world around you moves and responds? Could the energy you hold begin to reshape the environment itself? When you change the lens through which you see life, the world reflects differently right away, as reality is not just an objective sequence of events. It is a living mirror, responding to the focus and vibration you carry inside. The lens you look through is shaped by your beliefs, your emotional frequency, and the questions you habitually ask yourself. If your attention is locked on what is wrong, what is missing, or what could go wrong, your reticular activating system will highlight evidence to support that perspective, and the world will seem to confirm your fears. But when you shift the lens to notice what is working, what is possible, and what is worthy of gratitude, the filter changes, and so does the reflection. This is not magic. It is neuroscience, psychology, and energy combined. A long-term study from Princeton University found that optimistic individuals live longer, have better health outcomes, and earn on average 30% more than their pessimistic counterparts. This advantage is not because life hands them better circumstances by default, but because their lens directs them to take actions and see opportunities others overlook. In Los Angeles, a rideshare driver named Michael decided to test this principle. For months, he viewed his passengers as just another transaction and a long workday. Conversations were brief, interactions forgettable, and his earnings felt stagnant. One morning, after listening to a podcast about the power of perspective, he made a simple decision. Every passenger would be treated as a potential connection, not just a fare. He greeted each person warmly, asked genuine questions, and listened. Without rushing, within a week, his energy shifted. Riders responded with kindness, higher tips, and lively conversation. A month later, one of his passengers turned out to be a Hollywood director looking for a personal driver for an upcoming project. Michael got the job, which paid more, gave him a flexible schedule, and opened doors to networks he had never imagined. The external reward was the result of an internal shift in how he chose to look at the same road, the same city, the same people. Changing your lens is not about denying challenges or ignoring problems. It is about deciding that your attention will not be consumed by them, and instead directing it toward the angles that empower you to respond effectively. This choice creates a cascade effect. Your mood lifts, your body language opens, and others feel the change, which alters how they interact with you. New opportunities become visible because you are finely tuned to see them. Even in the face of setbacks, this lens allows you to see solutions faster, recover more quickly, and move forward. With resilience, the practical application begins with awareness. Throughout the day, notice when your mind fixates on a negative frame. Pause, as you learned in the previous step, and ask yourself, what else could be true here? What might I be missing if I only focus on this angle? Each time you answer, you are adjusting the lens a little more toward clarity and empowerment. Over time, the act of looking for alternative perspectives becomes automatic, and your reticular activating system begins to favor input that matches the new lens. The benefits compound, just as the challenges used to, but now in your favor. Relationships deepen because people feel seen and valued in your presence. Work opportunities expand because you carry a reputation for positivity and solution-oriented thinking. Health improves because the stress hormones that once flooded your system decrease. When your mental frame shifts away from constant threat monitoring, imagine waking up each morning knowing that you can set the tone for the day simply by choosing how you will see it. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances because you understand that while you cannot control every event, you can control the meaning you assign to it. This understanding makes you a conscious participant in shaping your reality rather than a passive observer. Right now, take a mental snapshot of something in your life that has been frustrating you. Hold it in your mind, then deliberately tilt the lens. Instead of asking why this is happening to me, ask how this could be happening for me. Notice the subtle change in how your body feels when you shift the question. That change is the beginning of a different reflection. You do not need to change the entire world to feel a difference. You only need to change the lens you are looking through, and the rest will follow. The moment you commit to living with this awareness, every conversation, every challenge, and every opportunity becomes a chance to reinforce the new lens. But knowing how to change the lens is one thing. The real transformation happens when you can sustain it for a lifetime, keeping it clear and aligned even when life tests you. So how do you ensure this perspective becomes your permanent way of seeing, and not just a temporary shift? You sustain it when you turn it into a promise to yourself, a vow that you will never return to the old lens that once kept you small, unseen, or trapped in patterns that drained your spirit. This promise is not a fleeting motivation or a feel-good affirmation you repeat when life is easy. It is a deep agreement you make with your own soul, one that guides your choices when circumstances challenge you and when the temptation to slip back into comfort arises. It is the commitment to live by a set of values that define the best version of you, values you choose deliberately rather than inherit unconsciously. Begin by identifying 3 core values that reflect the frequency you want to embody. Could be courage, gratitude, integrity, creativity, love, or any principles that feel like your true foundation. Write them down, speak them aloud, and carry them into every decision, conversation, and moment of your day. These values become your compass, and when you stray from them, use the tools you have learned: the pause, the reframe journal, and the embodiment of your chosen frequency to bring yourself back into alignment. This is not about perfection, but persistence. You will still face days when stress, fear, or frustration test your resolve, yet the promise to yourself means you will not stay in that state longer than necessary. Each time you return to the lens that serves you, you strengthen the neural pathways that make it your default way of seeing. In Boston, a teacher named Rebecca made this promise in a very tangible way. Every morning, before stepping into her classroom, she stood tall, placed a hand over her heart, and read aloud the sentence, "Today, I choose to see through the clearest lens." She did this on good days and difficult ones, whether the weather was warm and bright or gray and cold. Over the course of a year, her students and colleagues began to comment that she seemed more present, more radiant, and more capable of handling challenges with grace. The change was not in the school or in her workload. It was in the unwavering commitment she had made to maintain her lens and live in alignment with it. Your promise to yourself works the same way. The world will continue to move. People will still have their moods, and circumstances will shift, but your perspective becomes the stable element in the equation. This stability is what makes your outer reality increasingly reflect your inner transformation. When you keep your promise, you stop outsourcing your state of being to things you cannot control and start anchoring it in the values and vision you have chosen. Imagine waking tomorrow with the clear knowledge that no matter what happens, you will filter it through your highest lens. The conversations you have will be infused with patience or passion, depending on what the situation calls for. Your body language will carry the quiet strength of someone who knows their worth. And your mind will naturally search for solutions. Rather than dwell on problems, the longer you live from this place, the more your reticular activating system will work in your favor, constantly searching for proof that the world supports your new lens and delivering experiences that match it. It is in this sustained alignment that your reality truly changes, not for a week or a month, but for good. And this transformation does not require perfection. It requires recommitment. Every morning you can renew your vow. Every evening you can reflect on how you upheld it. And every time you drift, you can gently guide yourself back. There will be days when the old lens tries to pull you in with its familiar weight. But now you have the tools, the awareness, and the personal promise that make returning to it no longer an option. The power is in your hands, and the lens is in your control. If today you decide to change the lens, the world you live in will never look the same again. And from this day forward, you are the author of the story you will tell next. Thank you for choosing to watch this video among millions of others out there. You are the one shaping your future. And the promise you make to yourself today is the foundation of the reality you will step into tomorrow.